Hey everybody, it's Josh here again. So today's video, we're going to talk about how to get experience without having an actual job in either IT, cybersecurity, or software development. What we're going to talk about today is probably one of the most underrated and underutilized methods that you can use to kind of get that first job in the field. So if you're ready to have your mind blown with a cool new strategy, go ahead and smash the like button for the algorithm and let's get started. So just real quick, this video is going to be broken up into three parts. The first part is going to be what the strategy actually is. The second part is going to be why the strategy is actually good and why it's useful. And the third part is going to be just examples of how to apply it in the three different areas like cybersecurity, IT, and software development. So what the strategy boils down to is if you don't actually have any on-the-job experience, you can do things to generate your own experience that might actually potentially look better than it is if you already had an entry-level job. This whole strategy is not my idea, and it's definitely not anything new. It's something commonly used by software engineers to kind of get their foot in the door and kind of show that they can actually do the work that helps them land their first job. So we're just kind of taking that and applying it to like IT and cybersecurity as well. And by the way, everything we're talking about in this video, it kind of fits into this framework I made in this how to get a job in IT video. It fits right in the square, like generate your own experience. So everything we're talking about in this video applies right here. I just wanted to throw that in there real quick. So you might be asking yourself, like, that sounds cool and everything, but how can I generate my own experience that I can put on my resume? And for that, I'm going to show you an example of my resume, like a really stripped down version of my resume. And we're going to think about it as if I want to get into software development. So looking at my resume here, this is kind of a really basic resume. Just hello, my name is Josh. I'm making the transition from the food services industry into software engineering with a focus on web development. I've been doing everything I can to increase my skill and exposure. Thank you for viewing my resume. And then under experience, it just has like, some basic job and has my education, which is a GED. And I wanted to make this as kind of stripped down as much as possible to kind of show you what the difference is between what I'm talking about and like not doing what I'm talking about. So there's some stuff we can do to this. Say we got some online like coding tutorials or something under our belt. So say we use code with Mosh and we just learned like Node.js, React, data structures and algorithms in JavaScript. So now this is okay, but anyone can just like put this on their resume, right? But this quote unquote education, at least it corresponds with what we're talking about up here. But we can take this a step further by doing what I'm referring to as generating our own experience. So like what we have here under the experience, basically this is all like something that you can do yourself. Like it's something that you generate, for example, this company. So for example, if you register your own LLC or something, or you register your own business for like a couple $100s, you can name it like whatever you want. And then you can get a cheap domain for like whatever, like $5 or $10 a year or something. And if you want to be a developer, so for example, I would recommend making like a GitHub, and you can kind of do work, like do tutorials or make blog posts or whatever you want. Just do something and make it public and then publish it to the internet in some way. So this experience that I listed here, this like backend REST API development with Node.js and Express, and then implementation of third-party authentication. All this stuff is stuff that's actually, for example, if we go to this like kind of YouTube link here, actually I actually made videos on all of this stuff. So this video it's just demonstrating C#, which I can learn. The level of this video is really quite low. It's pretty simple, but it was enough for me to do something and make a video on it. And I may as well have learned this from a tutorial. This also, I just Googled a bunch and wrote it. This REST API, these two REST API videos, it's basically stuff that I learned inside of this guy's tutorials, the Code with Mosh tutorials. So basically, like, you can just get some tutorials and build something with it, and then make a YouTube video about it or something, or like a blog post and like teach somebody else how to do it. And then all the stuff that you did, just put it on your resume. And then if you want to go hard and go the extra mile, you can even register an LLC and just name it whatever you want. Like, you don't have to make money to be considered a company or to be profitable. Like, if you're making something that other people consume and it's useful, that's good enough to be called experience. So there's all the stuff in here is legitimate, like development of this, which is a video on YouTube, development of this, made some training materials including graphical illustrations. I mean, that's pretty much what I did in this REST API video. I made a bunch of like graphics kind of showing how it works. And this management of versioning platform and code repositories, GitHub. This is just another tutorial. Like, I learned how to use GitHub. All of the stuff I learned from tutorials, and I just made like average YouTube videos for it. And then you can even have like, your blog or something. This JTech.io doesn't exist, by the way. It just points to my my stupid, like, ugly blog. So for example, like, they can like click your links. And by the way, it's okay to have links in your resume these days because it's 2020. So they can click the link and they see, oh wow, he made this blog post that's really thoroughly explaining the topic, and they're not going to read all of it, so it can be of average quality, but there's like a video at the top. And it really, all of the stuff here, I wasn't employed by a company to make it, right? I just kind of looked at tutorials online and learned how to do stuff, and then I made some crappy programs, and then I published it with YouTube, and people can view them and consume them, and it's useful to people, so that warrants it. It's warranted that those things can be experienced, is what I'm saying. And you'll notice, like, because we have this experience here, which is pretty tangible, because we have a website and we have like a GitHub and we have a YouTube, all of which I can control, and you can control this too. We have this kind of tangible evidence here that supports this statement really well, and it also supports these kind of educational statements really well, because they can look at this and normally and be like, oh, okay, like you did some like tutorials, but we have this and it really solidifies what we did. And so this is useful. This is part 2, by the way. This is useful because imagine like you didn't have anything else but this. And imagine you're the one doing hiring. You want to hire somebody, for example, for like an entry level, like junior developer or something. And if you look at 2 resumes, like one that, for example, one that doesn't have any of this, but it has like, evidence that they may have done some tutorials. You look at this resume, and then you look at like this resume with a whole bunch of kind of tangible experience on it, like you'll feel comfortable you'd feel more comfortable at least interviewing this person, because they kind of, not only have they given you like a sample of their work, but they've also given you a sample of their personality, because you can watch their videos and kind of see how they articulate their words and all of that good stuff. So it's really quite useful, especially when you don't have anything else. This is definitely enough to get interviewed for an entry level job, like if not hired, because once you produce something like this, you'll be able to like talk about it and articulate yourself, because you're the one who made it. They might ask you something like why a keylogger, or like, why'd you learn Node.js and instead of Ruby on Rails or something, and then you can be like, oh, because it uses the same syntax as JavaScript, and I was using React as my front end, so it seemed like it makes sense. Like you can say stuff like that makes sense, because you're the one who made all of this, and you can control the quality of it and everything. So highly recommended. So just looking at like a couple of examples, this is for the web development one. So I'll look at the IT one really fast. Hello, my name is Josh. I'm trying to get into information technology with a focus on system engineering. And then down here we just have like, you could make, again, register your LLC if you want to, or buy a domain to put a blog on, have your YouTube channel with your, average, cheap budget videos that you make, and then the stuff that you make videos about, right? So Active Directory administration, you can make, videos on like PowerShell automation, how to maintain user accounts with PowerShell, how to implement and manage group policy objects, security group maintenance and whatnot. And all this stuff, like all you have to do is Google like PowerShell administer Active Directory users best practices, group policy best practices, security group and Active Directory best practices, and just practice doing that stuff and make a video about it. It's not that hard. All of this stuff too, Google how to use Windows DNS and DHCP. Very easy. Learn how to do it, implement it yourself, make a video about it, publish a blog post, and then boom, you have this whole section, right, in your resume that really quantifies your experience. And down here for education, I just put, you don't have to use pluralsight, it can be literally anything, but again, this kind of tangible experience here like really solidifies and validates this education, as well as it validates any statements you might make on your cover letter or your intro. So this is an example for IT, and then looking at the security example, pretty much the same thing. Hi, my name is Josh. I'm trying to make the transition from working at McDonald's to cybersecurity with a focus on pen testing. Down here, our experience, same thing. You have like your LLC company / domain you registered, your GitHub. In this case, we're using our GitHub to store our penetration test reports, like kind of samples, so employers can see our work. Our YouTube with our videos. And then I developed content for, as well as perform the following tasks. So implemented vulnerability management function in a sandbox network. So if this doesn't make sense to you, you can be like, how to do vulnerability management, and there's probably some Gartner document on the internet somewhere that tells you how to do it. So you could get OpenVAS, which is an open source vulnerability management platform, and you can get some VMs and scan it and then remediate the vulnerabilities, or follow like whatever kind of framework you want to do and like learn how to do it and then make a video about it, right, and post it on your blog. Performed penetration tests on VulnHub and Hack the Box using the high-level assessment methodology described in NIST 800-115. So just VulnHub and Hack the Box are kind of pen testing practice platforms that you can use to practice your pen testing on. NIST 800-115, it's just kind of a I guess you can read this here. Technical Guide to Information Security Testing and Assessment. It kind of talks about how to do security assessment and penetration tests. Putting something like this on your resume can be like, oh, I know what NIST is and I know what their special publications are. And they're probably not going to like read through this, but it just kind of conveys that you have the understanding of like what those things are. And experience using Nmap in conjunction with Bash and Python scripting to automate fingerprinting phases. You can learn how to do all of this stuff from EJPT, or literally like just Googling it, how to pen test. And then you can put samples of your script in GitHub. So if they're like, oh, let's see like how good he is, they can like go to your GitHub and they can look through your code. I don't know why this is not loading, but my GitHub doesn't have that stuff in it. It just has my actual things in it. But anyway, you can learn how to use GitHub with like tutorials, and you can kind of do all this stuff. Just do stuff that you want to actually do in the job, like do it outside, and just learn how to do it, read documentation, implement it yourself, make a video about it, make a blog post, and publish it, and then you can put it on your resume and it becomes actual legitimate experience. And I actually did this. This is how I got into my first IT job. But instead of EJPT, I studied for like OSCP. I never even took the test, but I just studied for it pretty hard. And I actually made like a couple of like really crappy videos on like how to hack wireless and stuff. Just like really kind of lame stuff, because I didn't have any actual security experience, and I ended up getting an interview from it. And then I had CSSP, which helped me get the interview. But inside the interview, I kind of talked about this stuff here, my kind of endeavors and like my content creation and my like OSCP and like my practice of hacking stuff, and I ended up getting hired. From it. So it's really powerful tool. And definitely, if you're trying to get into IT or cybersecurity or something like this, feel free to take any of these copy these resumes if you want, and like you can steal my ideas, even like the stuff I put in here. You can copy my videos and my source code and change it and make it your own. Like I don't really care. Just take it and make it your own and get your own experience, and then put it on your resume if you don't have anything already. You might be kind of worried about the potential employers saying something like, oh, this isn't a real job, or this isn't real experience, but it definitely is. Remember, like if you produce some kind of content and you know what you're talking about, and the content is useful for other people, and your skill is sound, of course it can be used as real experience. And kind of imagine the scenario where somebody has that kind of generated experience on their resume and someone who doesn't have anything at all. Obviously, the person with some tangible evidence of being able to perform the job is going to be picked over somebody who doesn't have anything at all. And also, doing something like this kind of shows your kind of ability to think outside of the box, and it shows like kind of your entrepreneurial spirit, and it's pretty good overall. So I would highly recommend utilizing this strategy, especially if you're trying to break into the field for the first time. As always, I really appreciate you watching these videos. If you like this content, feel free to like and subscribe. It really helps my channel a lot. And if you know anyone who's trying to get into IT or security or any kind of development, feel free to share this with them. If you have any questions, just let me know in the comment section, and please don't forget to make use of the sample resumes. I'll go ahead and put those in the description. And also, please feel free to steal anything I put in there, like the ideas, my source code, like anything, steal it, turn it into your own, kind of put your own spin on it and alter it, make some content, make some blog posts or something, and put it on your resume and go get a job. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and we'll talk to you next time. And by the way, I do actually use Code with Mosh. That's the website I listed under my education for like learning React and stuff. So if I go to like my courses, I actually did use them for React and Node.js and JavaScript and data structure and algorithm. It's probably one of the best online tutorials I've ever used for any coding, and I've used a whole bunch of them. So I'd highly recommend checking him out. He does have a lot of free content on YouTube, but he has a lot of paid ones too. And I have affiliate links for the paid portions, but if you don't want to use the affiliate links, just don't use those and go straight to codewithmosh.com and check it out. Definitely the best coding tutorial I've ever used. So I just wanted to throw that out there real quick. でもやっぱり就活めんどいよね。めんどいだな。